The founder and executive director of the National Security Institute, Jamil Jaffer. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
Let's start with today's announcement from Vice President Harris. And we now know that Russia will face consequences of some kind for their alleged widespread and systemic crimes in Ukraine. First of all, do you expect a response to come from Russia? And what does a path to consequences actually look like for them?
You know, it's a great question about consequences. With respect to the response from Russia, Russia hasn't really responded since the U.S. began accusing them of war crimes last March. This began with the initial allegations about all the targeted killings, the attacks on civilians, the rape, the torture that we knew that Russia was using as part of its war effort. Now what the U.S. has done is double down on that a year into the war, essentially saying that these, as you point out, are widespread and systemic. They're a core part of their war effort. And so that raises the level of the crime that we're talking about. At the end of the day, though, really holding Russia to account for these crimes is going to be difficult. We know the Ukrainians have charged some individual Russian soldiers and the like, but really this is a leadership issue with Vladimir Putin and the folks around him, and getting those folks to be held to account, I think, Natasha, is going to be very difficult for the United States and our allies.
Interesting. What is the most likely path forward to holding them to account?
Well, you know, in the past, when we've held international leaders to account, we've had war crimes tribunals set up, and we brought those people in at the end of a conflict to those war crimes tribunals. Slobodan Milosevic and the like in the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia is one example of that. But of course, bringing a world leader who's still in office and isn't ultimately, I think, going to be removed from power unless something happens inside of Russia, like Vladimir Putin, will be very difficult. And so, you know, what we're more likely to see is individual Russian soldiers like we've seen to date thus far in Ukraine.
And Vice President Harris also condemned the actions of Russia's allies. Let's take a quick listen to that together.
We have also seen nations like North Korea and Iran send weapons in support of Russia's brutal war. We are also troubled that Beijing has deepened its relationship with Moscow since the war began.
So do you think that China, North Korea, or Iran would be willing to stop their support of Russia? And if so, how would that happen? Are they incentivized to do this at this time?
You know, it doesn't look like it. The Iranians, to the contrary, have actually increased their support to Russia during the course of this war. They've been supplying those suicide drones. There's now talk of building a factory in Russia to make Iranian capable or Iranian designed drones. With the Chinese, we know the Chinese companies have already been supplying flak jackets and helmets. And there's a concern, at least the U.S. is suggesting through Secretary of State Antony Blinken and others, that we're seeing intelligence suggest that they want to come right up that line and potentially deliver lethal military aid to the Russians. That's part of a larger Chinese effort with Russia announced near the beginning of the war, the so-called No Limits Partnership. They're the most likely to be pressured by the international community. It's harder with North Korea and Iran because of the existing sanctions that are already in place on those two nations.
And Jamil, in just about 10 seconds, China saying it plans to present a peace plan for Ukraine. Your sense, likelihood on the path to peace actually lying with China?
Yeah, I think it's highly unlikely. They're likely to be in Russia's camp on this and require the giving up of significant territory by Ukraine, which they're not likely to do at this point.
All right, Jamil Jaffer, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Natasha.